Hey family, welcome back to Hekima House Chats. If you are new here, come on in and take a seat. And if you've been rocking with me, you already know what time it is. So let's get down to it. Today we're talking about something that I feel like we all kind of deal with a little bit. And if I'm being real, I'm kind of dealing with it right now too. So I figured I would just make a video about it. So today I'm going to talk about overthinking and kind of over planning and never actually doing the thing that you are planning for. But instead of doing it, you start planning and then planning some more and then planning a little more. And then somehow time goes on and on and on. And then you look back and you remember when you started planning it, but you never really got started and you just didn't do it. And so we're going to talk about that today. So we get caught in what I call like a planning trap. You kind of get caught in this loop that you keep going around and around, and you keep coming up with these great ideas, and then you plan that, and then you have another good idea, and then you plan that too. So I just feel like let's just call it what it is. Planning often feels like you're being productive, but a lot of times it's really just a fear in a cute outfit. And so because you're planning, you feel safe and you feel like you're moving forward. And in the middle of planning, you haven't actually exposed yourself. So you still feel safe. You feel not judged and you feel like you're not failing and you're not uncomfortable because you're just thinking and you're still in the midst of putting it all together. So don't get me wrong. Planning does have its place. I am a master planner. I will put all kinds of stuff together and I love structure. I love a good plan. But there is a point where planning has to stop. And it does come to a point where it stops helping you and it starts holding you hostage. And I know that's something that my therapist has told me, where it's like, what are you waiting on? Just do it. You know what you're doing. You've been planning it. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect setup. There's no perfect energy. There's no perfect day. Just go for it. And so after having told somebody that and thinking that I was all proud of myself, she was like, yeah, that's cute and everything, but you need to actually do the thing. And so I got off with her and was like, you know what? I do need to just do this. I'm not sure why I keep planning and getting excited and then it just doesn't happen. So the thing is, here's what really is happening. You think about doing something, you get excited, and then you start planning on it and you start doing your lists and putting things together and research. In the midst of doing all this planning, you start thinking about everything that could go wrong. And then you tweak the plan a little bit and then you change this part and then you change that part and then you research a little more. And then you wait and you try to wait for the perfect day and the full moon and the new moon and the new season to start. And then life starts happening all in the middle of that. And I know for me, I have husband, kids, work, responsibilities, side jobs, activities, hobbies. And before you know it, the moment that you were waiting on to press go, it's gone. And so now you sitting there like, okay, well, dang, I should have just did it. And then right there, you have your first moment of failure. So then you're just like, well, should I have even done it? And then you start over and it becomes a cycle. And so the problem is, if you're not careful, you kind of live your whole life like that. And then you get stuck in that loop and you never get out of it. And I know they call it a hamster wheel. And you just keep going through it over and over and over. And you have the pat your back moments, but then you have the dang, I didn't actually do it moment. So then you got to look for a shift. So there's always truth that I know I had to sit with. You don't get ready and then start. You start and then that's what makes you ready. Most of the time, I think one problem with the internet is we kind of get stuck listening to people who have planned and put a lot of stuff together, but they never did it before. And so I think because every time you do something, you learn something, you adjust something, you gain confidence, you get like a clearer picture of what you had originally visualized. And for the person who plans, they keep this visualization, but then it just stays there. None of that ever happens when it's in your head. You don't gain all of those things. And then you don't hit the speed bumps and understand what to do when you hit them. It only happens when you're in motion. And I think a lot of us are kind of waiting to feel confident before we actually move. And confidence comes after you move. And it's funny because when I was younger, I would just do stuff and I would adjust later. And as I got older, I understood what pain felt like and consequences. So you pull back And so as an adult or an older adult, I feel like I have to find a balance. And I'm starting to do that now where I'm not scared to do things, but I'm not going to just jump into every single thing right away. But, this is one of those things where I still have planning moments. I still have moments where I get stuck in a loop, but I now understand when to jump off the wheel and get going. Because the thing is, even with this podcast, I planned this out for weeks, trying to figure out the perfect topics, the perfect words, the perfect flow. And I even recorded several videos and then deleted them all. And it's funny because really all it takes is just hitting record, just hit go. And even now I'm thinking as I'm talking, am I doing this right? Are people even listening? Do people even care? How do I sound? All these things. And it's one of those things where it's like, at this point, I'd rather just kind of show up imperfectly than not show up at all. And for me, that's the most important part, because there's a lot of things as I think back. There's a lot of things that I can think of that I probably should have just did it. And so if you're listening to this and you've been stuck before, I just have a couple of things just to share with you. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm still working on it, but maybe we can work on it together. The biggest thing I would say is, don't plan the entire thing. Just take one step, not 10, not 20, just one. And a lot of times it's important to make the list, send the message, record the video, start the workout, write the first paragraph, make the call, blah, 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 blah. But that at that point, you've done your planning. Now just move forward with all those things. That's it. Because action is what breaks the cycle. Thinking just keeps feeding it. And the biggest thing is, once you know that you could actually do this thing, you think about it totally differently. Once I recorded my first video, it was like, this isn't so bad. I could do this. And so, I want you to really kind of hear me when I say, like, your life isn't waiting on a perfect plan, because I have had to learn that with so many things. And a lot of the things that I do now that I enjoy, it wasn't perfect when I started it. And now I can look at it in a better way. And I've waited on the moment for so many things. And it's like, you already have the idea, you already have the vision, and it's time for you to meet it halfway. So, whatever you've been sitting on and holding on to in your heart, just do it. Just do it anyway. I know it's corny, but Nike even says, just do it, because just go for it. Sometimes it's messy and uncertain and imperfect, and that's okay, because you might connect with someone else who is just as imperfect and messy as you are, and then you can both clean it up together. Or when you watch it back, you can find those little spots that you didn't realize you should fix a little more. And so it really is one of those things where the phrase practice makes perfect is the perfect thing to add. And you really have to practice something to know if it's good or not, or to know if you're good at it or not. And a lot of times there are little bitty fears that kind of creep up on us and make us feel like, well, if you start now, people are going to think you are sloppy, or you don't finish things, or, it doesn't look like so-and-so's thing, or whatever. That will stop you from doing so many things. And so I know it took me a minute, but after I got over the comparison thing, I was cool. I was fine. Then there was I don't want to put nothing out there that's sloppy. Everything is sloppy. I learned so many things are sloppy. And mind you, I work for the government. I work for the state. And there's so many programs and things that are implemented statewide that are not all the way worked out, but they had an idea and they pushed it out and it started. They hired people. They started paying people to put the plan together. They started doing all this stuff before it was even done. I have taken on a couple of jobs that barely had a job description, but they needed a person for one thing that they knew I was good at. And I shaped it all as I was going, made it into a great position, passed it on to someone else, and it was a success. So I feel like if we implement those things in our life and realize that the majority of things that we are a part of didn't start perfectly, didn't start completely planned out, you just got to have the base and the vision, and you got to have the drive to just move forward. And so I leave this with you today, just saying, just go, do it anyway, do it today. You know what I'm saying? You don't have enough people yet. Just start. They'll come. Nobody's watching yet. It's cool. Just do it. You don't know if you have the right outfit for the channel, just do it anyway. You'll find it. But your hair's not long enough for that thing that you wanted to wear in that outfit, just wear it. I guarantee you it'll look fine. All of these things that we worry about that are not that big of a deal, just do it anyway. So yeah. So thank you again for sitting with me today in Hekima House. If anything that I said today spoke to you, please share it with somebody who's been stuck in their head and trying to figure out how to get started. If you're ready to move differently, you already know where to find me. If you're trying to move with a group that understands you and is here to support and help you out, come join the house. We'll see you on the next one. Also, if there's a topic or something that you would like to discuss or chat it out, send it to me, inbox me, let me know if there's some things that you think might be interesting to chat about. I would love to hear it. And yeah, see you next time. Thank you for joining.